Hey, no, it is Jim Dempsey, a man of whose shit you've apparently not had enough, and a man who does indeed have BLUT des Norden on his mother's side. She's a Norwegian woman, my saintly mum. And let's talk about BLUT NORD, shall we? Because there's a new BLUT NORD album out, and so yeah, it was a thing once upon a time, I suppose. I got a couple of curious reference points. Well, I mean, maybe they're not curious, but I got a couple of reference points that I come to in speaking about new BLUT NORD. So, there are multiple ways to experience heavy metal music. There are at least two that I've identified, and probably more yet atop that, but the two that I'm thinking of here relate to Pantera. Now, my homie, Big D, is a man who, so far as I'm aware, enjoys and probably has really strong fond associations to Pantera. He was quite a fan when we were of a certain age, and had his nose broken a few times in the pit. So, good experiences with Pantera. I myself have a much more complex and ambiguous relationship with Pantera. I didn't like them at all. Well, I just thought it was meathead junk. But we had a band, Big D and I, for a minute, and the drummer in said band was also a Pantera fan at the time. And they did, over time, win me over through sheer exposure. I first threw some respect and finally some reverence to Pantera. All opinions aside, they were a solid band, a very competent unit, a, well, top-notch band in that regard, as bands go, for meathead junk. Well, one day, while a bunch of us were sitting around in the van and getting phased on crack, the drummer, we were young and impressionable at the time, and this was pre-internet, mind you. He had just caught word of that whole era pre-Cowboys. And he was informing the room about it, telling this guy about the story had been that a fan approached Phil asking for an autograph on said album, or maybe ribbing Phil about said albums. I don't know the background. The upshot of the story was that the pre-Cowboys output was brought up in a public setting, and Phil responded by smacking the guy, or in some similar fashion, filling out. And this guy, the drummer, was just really unimpressed with the whole thing, and he felt that this really impacted his impressions on Pantera as a band. And hearing him say it, I was turned. I was converted. And I, once again, returned to my roots of regarding Pantera as meathead junk. And I softened up over some time, and I've gone back and forth a couple of times where I'm just like, it's listenable. It's definitely metal. And, But I don't have real strong, long bond associations to it because during a lot of my most formative years, it was something I just didn't give a shit about. Now, the reason for that, and I'm going to say about Pantera, I really think that much more than anything in the Slipknot vein, or worse, anything from the Disturbed vein down to the Papa Roach vein that is called nu metal, I think Pantera is the origin and the epitome point of nu metal, because Pantera did have a lot more significant effect on shaping heavy metal that we take seriously than did any shit bands such as the nu metal bands. What year is this? 2025? Within the last 24 months, at most, became aware of the fact, was indeed doubly astonished by the twin facts that Korn have continuously been making albums since the 1990s and are regarded as a relevant band. In fact, are objectively a relevant band. I lived a privileged life until sometime in the last 24 months, not knowing that. But yeah, facts are facts, and so I like metal for the Satan. Did Phil's chiding me on my thick Seattle accent. Let me restate that one. I like metal for the Satan. And Pantera, especially minus Phil's guiding light, is not very rich in that vein. So, yeah, it wasn't my bag. Big D, I think, he likes the metal more for the authoritative nature, the stern, something in the manliness of it. I've always been much more about the Satan. I'm straight in that turn up the hell camp, and the less Satan is, the less I'm on board with it. So those are two very distinct ways to come at this whole thing. Now, I take black metal way too seriously. And happy black metal, I barely know what to make of it. I'm just, it's not anything that I go for, and so I got a couple of different streams of thought going about this new BLUT NORD. It's a band of whom I do retain a lot of fondness. I believe I already stated in this take that I regard them as one of the most influential bands in black metal because they opened the door that Deathspell walked through, along with whatever else shit bands people are talking about these days. Imperial Triumphant, definitely a band that exists because BLUT NORD did it better first. BLUT NORD is a really good example of Jim's dictum that death metal bands are only good for a few albums and black metal bands are only good after a few albums. The best death metal albums always come from earlier on in a band's canon. They never get more interesting as they get older. and more sedate. And black metal bands generally get more interesting after they've figured out where they're going from the aping mayhem, aping BLUT NORD, aping deathspell, whatever they are striving for, and developing a little more of their own voice. If they're gonna do that. Shining, aping Silencer, Satyricon, aping gay elves in the forest. We could do this one all day. That's probably a whole separate video. BLUT NORD started out aping mayhem. That is a fact. But I don't think they can hear you over there, Phil. So I do respect what's going on here. BLUT NORD is described by BLUT NORD as a tree with various branches opening to various universes. The kind of pompous shit you'd expect a French person to say. And in that regard, as a BLUT NORD album, it's an interesting thing. It's happy black metal, which, if we did not have a Ueda and Death Haven and whatever other reference points that I can't think of because I don't listen to happy black metal, do exist out there, that this can now be compared to. If this had come out, what are we in, 2025? If this had come out 15 years previous, it would be much more astonishing, much more impressive. But I think even 15 years ago, we probably already had a Death Heaven, because I've heard of them. So they've got to be pretty old by now too. As an entry in the BLUT NORD catalog, I've heard a couple of people point to Hallucinogen as the immediate gimme, and it's a fair companion piece in the regard that it's exploring a brighter BLUT. But so I'm going to give this a quick rating here. I'm just going to throw this one in the bag and launch from there, because on an enjoyment level, I give this maybe a 3. Notched up 2 full points because it's BLUT NORD. If it was another band, I would have that much less interest, about 66% less interest in sitting through the whole damn thing. It's happy. It's bright. It's not something that I associate my black metal listening moods to. Impact, it's really hard to say, because the band is gaining a lot of recognition with everything that they put out. Deservedly so. But the farther we go into this whole game, the harder it is for the up-and-coming kids to discern who is an old-school veteran and who is just doing something that a lot of other people do. People compare this to Imperial Triumphant, and on a sheer sonic scale, if you're listening to your metal for the whatever Pantera appeal, I can see that comparison, but the way that I hear it, the latter is just a really shitty version of, well, more of Deathspell, which itself is a passable version of BLUT. So I'm inclined to notch down on that regard just a little bit. I don't think the impact on this one, the broader historical scheme is going to go too high. I think we're looking at a 5 or 6 if they're lucky. And that probably because the name will sustain the entire catalog, which we'll come back to in a second when I get to my other reference point. But artistic, aesthetic choices, I'm going down really low on this one because I'm not feeling it. The Ethereal Horizons is pretty stock shit for a band with BLUT's backing catalog. The visual, the generator shit that goes with the music and the YouTube video is appallingly AI generated garbage, and that's kind of the vibe I get of the whole thing. I was very curious when I first heard the teaser that it wasn't entirely AI generated, the music itself. And without having checked the archives to do any real research on it, my immediate impression is that what once probably legitimately was a 3-person band is reduced some time ago to just Vince Vaughn, and at this point he's kind of I'm not going to question his passion on this one. He's probably enough into it to have put it all together, but I'm not into it enough to bother listening to it a whole heck of a lot more. The longer I live is the more likely I'll come back to it a second and third time. I don't anticipate that I will return to this a 5th time before I finally shuffle off to the grave. And that's kind of my review of it. So, in the broader scheme of things, I think that for those of us who take the black metal way too seriously, it's kind of somewhere between passable to disappointing, and for people that are just listening to hear people make some curious noise, it's hopefully you'll recognize it as a step up from your Imperial Triumphants and whatever bands people that listen to that band also listen to. I was also blissfully ignorant of a lot of that until fairly recently, but Phil insisted I do some level of research on this because he said, and I quote, "Your selling point is how much in 1997 you live, but I need you to know how to navigate in 2027, which it's only 2026, right? 2030? What year is it? I've got like at least one more listen on this album before I hit the actuarial tables next. Oh shit! We better wrap this up. I'm supposed to be dead like 4 years ago. Fuck. All right. I don't have a lot to say about this one. It's happy, and it's a good BLUT NORD album, but I feel like I'm Warner Brothers, and these guys are this guy or this whatever, however many people are involved in this outfit at this point. This is the Prince to my Warner Brothers, because I'm just like, bruh, for fucking real here. You are a goddamn musical genius, and you literally, like, you lived through the fucking night and you've written another album, and that's great. But we need you to not release every fucking thing that you just happen to drop, because it dilutes the brand, bro. What is black metal about? Cult, right? What is cult? Hidden, obscure. The brightness and the light and the non-stop of all of that in the visual generator thing is just enough to really turn me off from it. We already got one done, and I honestly I didn't think a whole lot of that one either. So maybe minus 7 sevens, and a couple of extra albums along the way here. Maybe the Memory Vestuvia ones. This would have had that much more impact, and that's a thing, because that's where a lot of the death metal bands go wrong. Look at Immolation, just shitting on their legacy. And am I going to say this out loud? By continuing to put out more and more albums with Steve, and having Steve be that much more prominent a piece of the Immolation canon than Alex. It's not a good decision, guys, and let's hope this doesn't get any views, because yeah, I don't want Steve to... No, nothing personal, Steve. It's just... It's not a good fit for Immolation, brah. It's no Alex. And this is no... Like... Yeah. It could have been a lot more. Minus, again, probably about 5 full albums, and one of them has to be the Hallucinogen, because did it need a companion piece? I was mildly impressed by it, and I'd have to check my notes. I think I'm still on the first listen of that one. So that's what I got for this, and I'll burnish off a couple more of those points at some future date if I am not too busy being dead. But in the meantime, I'm gonna go get phased on crack, and we will catch you in the next one.